Hello YouTube and fellow DC Comic fans. I'm Keith One Shot, and this is my dramatic reading series. And today, we'll be covering The Flash 41, Perfect Storm Part 3, from DC Comics. We start this story off during a lightning storm in Central City. We then see Grodd standing on top of a building, looking down. Then Negative Fast Track walks up and says, "Grodd!" Then Grodd tells her,
"It is Lord Grodd, Negative Flash. If you desire to keep your negative Speed Force powers, you will remember that, Mina."
Then Mina replies, "It won't happen again. Multiplex is close to completing your lightning rod, Lord Grodd." Then Rajan says,
"But Flash's sidekick stole the wand. Without it, it will be impossible to control the Speed Force storm."
We then see a smirk on Grodd's face as he tells Rajan,
"I'm not worried, Rajan. The wand will come to us. Trust me, I know the Flash better than he knows himself."
We then go to the Speed Force Training Center in Central City, where we see Barry Allen running with a device on his chest. Then suddenly, Barry falls forward. Then the Flash of China, Avery Ho, says to Barry, "You alright, Barry? Your connection to the Speed Force is gone. Whatever Grodd did, you're once again a powerless member of the human race." We then see Kid Flash checking on Barry by saying, "You okay, man?" As Kid Flash helps him walk off the treadmill, Barry says, "Yeah, I think so, Kid Flash." Then Avery says, "There are some, super small traces of the Speed Force still in your system. I can't tell if they're from exposure or what. My guess is, there's still some lingering residue in your biochemistry. That's the only thing keeping you from being frozen in time like the rest of Central City. But it's going to wear off." Then Barry says, "And then I'll be stuck here." Then Kid Flash says, "Where did you learn to use this Star Lab tech, Avery?" Then Avery quickly runs around the room as she says, "Mina, Dr. Duan, she taught me when she was training us here. Before she went all Negative Flash bad guy on us, you know?" Then Avery says to Barry, "Are you okay if I run a few more tests, Flash?" Then Barry replies, "I'm not the Flash anymore, Avery, so please, call me Barry." Then Kid Flash says, "How can you be so chill that giant angry gorilla stole your powers?" Then Barry tells Kid Flash, "Grodd said he's dying, that a disease is raging through his body, and the Speed Force is the only cure. And I believe him, but before that, he has always felt that the Speed Force belonged to him. He'd kill for it, but we can't let him scare us." Then Kid Flash says, "How? How are we gonna stop him without you, Barry?" Then Barry tells Kid Flash, "I'm flattered, Wallace, but I don't." Then suddenly, Wally West Flash runs in and says, "He'll have to get through me, Kid Flash, and this Flash won't let Grodd or his army get anywhere near us. Just did a recon of the whole city, and Black Hole is super occupied with that lightning rod, not looking for us at all. If I had to guess, they're waiting for us to come after them." Then Barry shakes Wally's hand and says, "If you hadn't gotten here when you did, Wally, I would've..." Then Wally says, "Figured something out. Barry, you always do." Then Barry replies, "Not this time. There's so much we need to talk about. But right now, Central City needs you to be the Flash." Then Avery smiles and says, "Can your bromance wait a few minutes? There might be no Flashes soon. Black Hole's lightning rod is stealing speed from everything in Central City. If it gets to go full power, and is triggered by Rajan's lightning wand, it'll engulf the entire world, and steal all the Speed Force, including ours." Then Kid Flash says, "This must be why Black Hole had Carver killed. They didn't want him telling anyone about their plans. I love having these powers, and no one should die because of them. But I don't want to lose them right as I'm starting to get a hang of them." Then Avery says, "Me too. When Godspeed was killing speedsters, I was willing to sacrifice the Speed Force. But now, they're a part of who I am, and I know I've made a difference working with the Justice League in China. Is it selfish that I don't want to give that up?" Then Barry walks up to Avery and tells her, "It's not, Avery, and we will stop Grodd, long before he takes your powers. We have to." Then Barry tells everyone, The computers Mina created studied the original Speed Force storm and its impact. But Grodd's storm is different, more chaotic. That lightning rod isn't just stealing speed, it's slowing everything to a crawl. If Central City hits absolute zero, it will kill every single person within the city limits. Then Flash taps Barry on the shoulder and tells him, "We need to evacuate the city, Barry. Like now. I'll get moving. Ping me on the radio if you learn anything else." Then Kid Flash says, "Hold the phone, Taurus. You've been gone a long time. You don't know Central City like I do." Then Flash says, "Please. I called this place home for years, Kid Flash." Then Avery says, "Who is this guy anyway? I thought I was the only other Flash in the world." Then Kid Flash says, "It's complicated." Then Avery replies, "Okay. Still, we can clear the city way faster if we come with you." Then Barry says, "No, Wally's right. But I need you both to leave. Grodd is dangerous, and he's going to be looking for you. It's best if you stay on the run, and not in Central City." Then Kid Flash says, "What? No way! Not this time! I'm not letting you send me away again! You need!" Then Barry says, "Now!" Then Avery, who is shocked by this, says, "Flash!" Then Kid Flash says, "So it's like that, huh? And all the times you told me to run. You never told me to run away from a fight, just when I thought we were cool again." Then, with a loud whoosh, Kid Flash and Avery run away. Then Flash says to Barry, "They only wanted to help, Barry. I remember what that was like. I know you're worried, but you could have been, I don't know, nicer about it?" Then Barry walks over to a table and says, "They don't need nice, Wally. I know what they need." Then Barry picks up the lightning wand and says, "For me to be the Flash again, and I know exactly how to get that back." Then Wally says, "Barry, you keep saying I'm the Flash again, but it sounds like you don't trust me to." Then Barry tells him, "This wand must be a key in some way. Avery said there are still traces of the Speed Force inside me, right? If I can adjust the wand, I might be able to plug into the lightning rod and get a jump start." Then Wally says, "What if that backfires, and you give Grodd exactly what he wants? Barry, you have to destroy the wand." Then, as Barry holds the wand, he says, "My powers. Without them, me getting the Speed Force back is our only hope of taking Grodd down." Then Wally says, wow, what did Grodd say to you, man? I know firsthand how he can get into your head. Twist your every thought into a nightmare." Then Barry says, "I'm fine. I'm just so slow. I need time. You can work to evacuate the city. Find Iris while I..." Then Wally says, "Barry, you need to take a step back on this." Then Barry replies, "I built a treadmill that can travel through time. I can handle a fancy lightning rod." Then Wally puts his hand on Barry's shoulder and says, "Barry!" Then Barry pushes him away and says, "I need it, Wally!" Then as the two get in each other's face, Wally says, "You want time? You got it!" Then Wally runs away. We then see Kid Flash running with Avery, as she tells him, "Flash told us to leave Central City. Were you really going to listen to him?" Then Kid Flash says, "Hell no!" Then Avery replies, "Exactly. So let's help this big brother of yours evacuate the city." Then Kid Flash says, "Nah, I got a better plan. Mina is working with Grodd, right? But Mina can track speedsters. It's her special gift with the Speed Force. It's how we met in the first place." Then Avery says, "So you're saying that if Mina really wanted to find us, she could have done it a long time ago, but she didn't." Then Kid Flash says, "Exactly. Grodd's got her brainwashed, and we're going to snap her out of it." Then we see Kid Flash and Avery run up the building near the lightning rod. We then hear the Flash think to himself, "Kid Flash says he knows the streets of Central City better than me. Well, I can tell him the name of the street that I'm on just by the feel of the concrete under my foot. But Central City is more than just streets to me. I know the people. This flower shop is the oldest in Central City. Mr. Carson inherited it from his father after returning home from Vietnam. I bought Linda flowers here on our first date. Mr. Carson could see I was nervous, so he gave me a discount and said,
'Don't get the roses. Everyone gets the roses. Get her the tulips.'"
Then, as Flash runs Mr. Carson to the evac area, Mr. Carson says, "What? What? Where am I?" Then Flash says to Mr. Carson, "Sorry, sir. Let me get those for you. Be right back." Then Flash picks up Mr. Carson's flowers. As Flash races to evacuate Central City, we see Barry working on the lightning wand. Then we hear Flash think to himself, "Tulips turned out to be Linda's favorite flower, and I've picked up flowers there ever since, even when I had to make a detour all the way from Keystone. I wonder if he'd remember me, or would Mr. Carson be like the rest of the world, where I'm just a lost memory? But I can't think about that now. Not when Central City is in danger." We then see Flash running more people to safety. Then he says to them, "Congratulations on the baby, Mrs. Grant. Good to see you, Mr. Ross. I'm sure this is all very scary, but you're safe now." We then see Barry at Star Labs as he yells, "Damn it!" Then we hear Flash think to himself, "But it's great to see familiar faces. To be a hero again in Central City. I'll always be a Keystone kid. But I miss this city. Though not as much as I miss my Aunt Iris. She wasn't just my aunt. She raised me. She was there for me during some tough times. Taught me about helping people. Long before I was struck by the lightning in Barry's lab. Not long ago, Barry and Kid Flash told me Iris killed Eobard Thawne in self-defense. She's been having nightmares about it. It's been hard on her. But ever since I escaped the Speed Force, I've avoided her. I haven't been there for her. The way she was for..." Then as Flash is running through Central City, he finds Iris West frozen in place. Then suddenly, Rajan runs over with Multiplex. Then Rajan shouts,
Flash! Oh, it's just you, the Pretender. We were told Iris West might be a target, to catch the real Flash. However, Lord Grodd demanded we collected his sidekicks as well.
Then Flash says, "Sidekicks? Hell no!" Then Rajan runs closer to Flash and shouts,
If you tell us where the wand has gone, we'll spare the West Woman.
Then as Flash starts fighting Multiplex, he shouts, "You won't even come close to her! You want the Flash? You got him!" Then as he's battling Multiplex, we hear Flash think to himself, "So they do need that lightning wand, which means I have to get back to Barry and tell him to get it as far away from Central City as he can." We then go to Iron Heights Prison, where Barry has made his way into the building. Then we hear Barry think to himself, "Wally didn't know me until after I was a Flash. No one did, and I don't want him to have ever met that version of me, the one before the powers. Every time I've had to break into Iron Heights, I've hated it, but I'm desperate. Without my powers, I'm just as broken as this wand. Kristen Kramer, a good friend and partner. If she knew what I was doing right now, she'd be disappointed. She'd tell me I'm about to make a huge mistake. I'm sorry, but in order to bring back the good of the Flash, I have to bring back a little bad too." We then see Barry walk up to a cell and say, "Black Hole is back, and they've attacked Central City. I believed you when you told me you wanted redemption. But Central City needs you now. I need you now. Please, will you help me, Godspeed?" Then suddenly, August Hart breaks out of his cell, in his Godspeed suit. Then he says, "Of course, Barry. That's what friends are for." And that ends today's story. Comic published by DC Comics. All rights, text, characters, and storylines belong to DC Comics and their respective owners. Not me. This is Ben, the Flash 41, Perfect Storm Part 3. And I'm your host, Keith One Shot. If you like this video, make sure to check out the rest of my Comic Complete dramatic reading series and support DC Comics by picking up a copy of the trades and single issue comics. Support your local comic book shop. Take care and have a great day. Goodbye.